crawl in there and reach out, get out the compost. You okay with that? Yes.
What would be the difference between just taking a garbage can, a plastic garbage, a black plastic garbage can, and cutting out the bottom?
You could do that. Originally, when we designed this brochure, it was all about making your own compost structure or buying one online. It depends on your personality, right? So if you want to go out and buy something or gather materials like the pallets or the bricks, you can make a compost pile out of that. The only thing with that is that make sure in the cooler parts of the year that you have a roof over the top of the compost pile and that the sides are covered so that you are keeping that compost pile active longer.
Okay. If you were just to put holes in the bottom but not have it cut it off totally, you could roll it then and
Sure.
but would that be sufficient just to have holes in the bottom? Or do you need to have the total bottom open?
Well, if you were going to roll it around and pretend it was like a tumbler, you obviously are just going to put holes throughout it to allow the oxygen to get in, and then any of the water to get out. Again, if you're going to do a tumbler type of method, you always want to keep in mind you're going to put a couple shovelfuls of garden soil or old compost in there because you need to inoculate it. You need to add those microorganisms to that tumbler because those bugs just don't jump from the ground into your tumbler. And that's where a lot of people have problems. Those piles may not work very well if you don't add those microorganisms. They do create stuff called compost starter. Again, this is a product you buy. It tells you it's a natural biological activator. They're used sometimes for sale at garden stores. If you have active compost already going on, you really don't need these. If you're having an issue getting the pile to heat up or start, either add some garden soil where you can see all those compost creatures moving around, then you know the things that you can't see are also there too, or you buy this stuff and throw it on top. Yeah.
To your comment, ma'am, I do that. I got a garbage can, just jigsawed out the base, and then I put an iron stake up and use with a snow fence or something.
Sorry, an iron stake?
An iron stake down through one of the handles that'll keep you.
That'll keep the wood,
That you don't want it to blow away in windstorms. Put a stake down through. Use the handle, put a stake down through the cap.
So did I understand this correctly? To make your own compost, you have the soil, you put your scraps of, the nutrients of, like.
We're actually, there is a slide about how you would actually physically build a pile.
Now, the compost, when you're making the compost, you don't have, when it's in a container, you don't have to have, do you put water in it? Because somewhere along it said to put water in it.
No matter what compost situation you have, you need to make sure it's a wrung-out sponge. You've got living creatures in there that need that water to break down that material. So no matter what compost you have, barrel you have, or bag you have, or pile you have, if it's too dry, those creatures are not going to work. So you do need to keep them wet. You don't want them soaking wet because then you're going to take up the airspace within the pile, and then that's when it gets soupy and smelly.
Okay, now you said you have to have a little bit of a few opening. It has to have some type of air in the compost bin. So, but just is it like small little?
Well, if you notice, our digester actually does not have slits on the side of it.
Okay,
so the only air is getting in is when you open it up. You can actually use. I have a yard butler. If you choose a bin like this, if you still want to stir it and do active composting it, they have this thing called the yard butler. There's probably a couple other ones with different names. But you put it down into the compost pile. As you pull it out, these flaps open up, you can spin it, and it allows oxygen just to get mixed into that part of the pile. What you're trying to prevent doing is, as you put more material on top, the stuff on the bottom starts to get compressed. If it gets so compressed, and it pushes out areas for oxygen and water, and then it becomes usually a smelly mess. So you usually want to get air in there and keep airspace. You can do that by mixing the pile, or by putting things in it that aren't gonna break down quite so right away. Like you're gonna put in small sticks, small grasses, even wood chips, so that there can be air spaces around in there. Does that make sense?
How often should you mix the compost just so it doesn't?
You can again schedule yourself once a week, once every 2 weeks. You can be
Okay.
lazier about it if you don't care about the soil amendment. But if you want the soil amendment, you're probably going to stir that pile once a week.
Okay, so you don't, it doesn't need to, once a week or.
Whenever.
Okay.
Depends on whether you want to be an active composter or a passive composter.
Okay,
If you
so-
want the soil amendment, you have to work a little bit harder to get it faster.
It doesn't have to be fewer than once a week. Once a week is the minimum.
Why? You could do it 2 or 3 times a week if you really wanted to, but if your pile wasn't heating up, then I would stop turning it that.
So it depends, like the
It's like a
temperature.
recipe.
Okay, yeah, the temperature would, like if it's, because the compost bin is gonna be, like you make your compost in the wintertime and then it's ready,
Well,
for
it won't
summertime.
operate in the wintertime because it's going to be cold out.
Okay, so you
let's
have-
continue on, and then we'll, if these questions get answered for you, it might make more sense down the road. We also have a little pail called a sure close pail. It's $5. It holds compost. It retails at $20. So it's just here. You could use a yogurt container, ice cream container, or the same again on the cute little pail. All right. You all have a bin reference guide at your seat. It looks a little different than this. It's just to give you an idea if you're deciding between the 2 bins, why you would buy one bin over the other. I can't particularly answer that for you. It really does depend on how many people live in your house, what kind of food you guys like to eat, what kind of scraps you end up making, how many leaves you have in your yard, how many trees, that kind of thing. So you can look at that while we talk about the next stuff if you want to. If you're just going to make a pile in your yard, or you're going to buy a different kind of composter, or you're going to buy one of these, you are going to kind of follow these suggestions. You want to look for a well-drained area in your yard that's level. If you get an area that has a lot of water from when it rains, and you put your compost pile in that big water pile, you think it'll be happy? No, it's going to be a soupy mess, and it'll probably start to smell. You also want to find a discrete spot located away from your neighbors. Why? Because remember, they think it's going to smell. Unless you share your compost knowledge with them, and they start doing it on their own. There are some ordinances out there for cities that tell you cannot compost in your front yard. I'm sure everybody probably figured that out. That it does need to be discreet and within 5 feet from your property line. Also, you're going to try to look for a sunny spot in your yard to do this. A lot of people put their compost piles, depending on the size of your yard, in the way back. That may also not be the sunniest location, but keep in mind if you want to get that active composting, you at least want part sun every day. Okay. Again, because we live in Northeast Ohio, whenever you can put a lid on it or covering over it, you'll keep it working longer and also protect it from freezing winds. All right, on to our bins. So if you had an ultimate dirt machine, you would be a person that was going to mainly do food scraps. You can do passive composting in here. It doesn't really produce a lot of soil amendment because food scraps really are water, 60 to 80% water. And then what's left over is going to be that little bit of soil amendment. You could put yard waste material in here. You could maintain the green to brown ratio if you want. You would then just have to dig this particular bin out of the ground. So we're really doing a waste reduction strategy in this bin. You could, if you wanted to, go a little crazy and do dog poop, but if you did that in there, you wouldn't use that soil amendment in your garden where you're growing food. If the cat